mentioned earlier about the COVID effects on our supply chains and the ports in the Netherlands, Rotterdam and Potsdam and others. They some of the most busiest ports in the world, and those are primary entry points for a lot of our North Carolina products to enter the European Union. So, what is the situation now with the ports in the Netherlands? Are we beginning to see some of our shipping situations maybe become normal again, or is there a new normal that we need to know about here?
So the port of Rotterdam has been fully operational during COVID time, but the volumes dropped dramatically.
Yeah.
Mainly due to commodities, and it was declined by 6.9%. It still remained the biggest port in Europe, and as they call it, we are the great gateway to Europe. And it is now that the contamination of COVID the facts and figures are going down, and business is going up again in all of Europe. We can see that it's getting back to not yet where it was before COVID, but it's getting better. Absolutely.
Well, that is certainly good news, and we've learned in North Carolina, and I think everybody around the world has learned how fragile at times our food systems and supply chains and the logistics involved with that, how fragile that can be at times. And are there things you see in the Netherlands and across the European Union that are beginning to build some resiliency in those food systems that maybe weren't there before COVID?
That's a very difficult question to answer, because we don't have the results yet of what is going. How do we recover? That's a little. I think that's a little bit too early to say. We do recover, and I think that we are talking about deglobalization, but what that really means, that is a little bit too early to say, I would say.
It's an interesting term, deglobalization, and at one time it was all about globalization. And so as we look at this and we reflect back maybe on the last 4 years of relationships between the United States and China, certainly trade and free trade is always on the minds of agricultural producers, and especially in the United States and the Netherlands, because we are exporters. So how do you view the coming months as we emerge from a COVID situation, and maybe we see a little bit more free trade type relationships between the United States and the European Union? Well, where do you see this going?
Well, the free trade, that is something which is discussed mainly on state level, on federal level between the Netherlands and the United States. But if you go towards on state level here in for example in North Carolina, I would look more into how can we cooperate together, and what can we do mutual for each other, on what level to seek agreements, for example in AgTech, to work on that together. And regarding the relationship between the United States and the Netherlands, it's a relationship which has worked for a very, very long time. And sometimes it is a little less, sometimes it is a little bit more, but we always say that it's a relationship that works.
It does, and I think it has for many years. And I think I think as we go on and we look back on the last several months and we look forward to what the next several months and years are going to bring, we're going to find out that we need each other a lot.
I totally agree on that, and we are open for business as well.
That's great to hear. Well, thank you, Koosje, so much for joining us, and good luck to you. And we look forward to many more conversations and relationships with you and your associates with the Netherlands.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it to having me here in North Carolina.
Thank you.
Thank you.